Resident Evil The Mercenaries 3D was developed by Tosei and released 2011 for the 3DS, and the fact that it's for the 3DS highlights how much of a budget title it is, on top of the fact that it's just repurposing stuff from Resident Evil 4 and 5 renditions of Mercenaries. And by repurposing, I mean copying it wholesale and adding very little new actually to it. This game also had a bit of controversy when it first came out because you couldn't delete your save file, something people thought Capcom was doing to mess with the used games market, but the Capcom VP at the time, Christian Svensson, said, no, that's not the reason. This is the actual reason why, and it just said it probably won't do it again. So, just very weird. Either way, the idea of just taking the Mercenaries mode and making its own spin-off title, so they just found weird, let alone making it like a full-price title on the 3DS, as opposed to like also a cheaper title on, let's say, on console, which just, extend, makes it so weird of an idea, on top of the fact that despite just repurposing stuff for Resident Evil 4 and 5, you can't play as Leon in the game. Something the developers joked about how, oh, maybe in DLC. There is no DLC. There is nothing. But one of the reasons Leon was not included was because of Operation Raccoon City. Even though by that logic, why is Claire here? There's no narrative. There's no story to this other than some guy on the radio yelling about you about tutorials. And he doesn't even follow the script that's put on screen because the voiceover later on in the game has him doing his own little narration explaining the premise of doing the Mercenaries mode, but he's not following the script that's clearly copied wholesale from Resident Evil 5's rendition, so it's weird how the subtitles and the voiceover do not match.
Defeat as many enemies as you can. You get a bonus for defeating multiple targets in a row. Good luck on your mission.
Straight into the gameplay, where immediately the game has several tutorial levels in order to explain the premise and every single aspect of the Mercenaries mode, and I do mean there are levels for every single aspect of Mercenaries mode to be explained one by one. I understand why you would do this since it's a spin-off, so people may not have played the Mercenaries mode, so this first exposure needs to explain to them how it works, but it just makes those levels just drag on with how many things they explain one at a time. On top of the fact that I mentioned levels. Yes, because instead of just choosing a stage, like in Resident Evil 4 and 5 Mercenaries mode, you instead have several stages that can require a different mission and everything. So, there are levels dedicated to tutorials, and there are levels dedicated to doing some other things. Like one level had a wave-based system, which was alright, but I know I did it once, to my knowledge. And then also one level that I was like, oh, the main goal is to defeat this boss monster from Resident Evil 5. Alright, do something new. And then they only did that twice in the actual main campaign of this game. So once again, it's like, you have new ideas that you're clearly trying to experiment with, but then don't really do much with it. You do have plenty of stages that are your general Mercenaries mode. Enemies start coming after you, you can go through them, get point multiplier, find the point bonuses, and you'll have boss enemies come in. The issue is the fact, once again, they're just pulling from Resident Evil 4 and 5, so there's nothing really new added to it, aside from the two instances where like, hey, here's this boss enemy for Resident Evil 5, that now the goal is to kill this, or everything else is trying to kill you. That makes it more interesting shakeup. But the issue is the fact that they will use levels from Resident Evil 4 and 5, and then not really do much with the enemies. Like, one of the cool things about Mercenaries in the Resident Evil games is the fact that the enemies in it will change depending on the map, kind of depends on what part of the story the map is from. Here, the maps for the most part have like the same enemies in them. Instead, it's just the boss enemy that changes, but there'll be boss enemies in places that are like, okay, but why is this here? Like, why am I playing the castle level and the execution Resident Evil 5 is here? Why am I in the mines level Resident Evil 5 and now the double chainsaw guy Resident Evil 4 is here? And stuff like that. So it makes it weird and confusing with just when I try to do stuff. Or, hey, well, I'm in the mines level and now the freaking big punchy guy from RE5 is here. It's like, stuff like that where it's like, is there really any semblance to what bosses will actually show up for the stages? And the answer is, not really, since they're just pulling the stages from Resident Evil 4 and 5. and not really using a lot of them, so they need to just have the boss enemies be there, but they don't even use all the boss enemies from those games as well. Like, I was expecting at some point a giant cockroach thing RE5 to show up, but it didn't at all, at least the main campaign. It might be in the EX missions that you do unlock it to be in the game, but again, it's not extra EX missions. It's just a weird thing where how they go about trying to use the resources they have, they don't really do so in the most interesting ways, and when they do have interesting ideas, they don't really do much with it or go further enough. Like, I was expecting, oh, bring in like RE4 balls, ooh, highlight a thing to try and take out like an El Gigante or something from RE4, or that one boss that you fight in the mine area in RE4 and stuff, while an enemy is chasing after you, but no, it was just the one bat boss from RE5 that they did that idea with, which granted makes sense because, you know, you just need to knock them with explosives, so it's simple to go after when they're killing you, but it's still just a weird thing. They didn't do more with it. You do have the extra characters who have their own weapon loadout, and you're supposed to be able to change weapon loadouts. I don't know how, because every time I try to change weapons, it's another option, so I don't know what's going on with that. And there are perks you can equip to the characters in order to boost their abilities. And I do like the fact that the perks themselves level up, so it's not you have to level up each perk per character. If one character will level it up, the other character will generally also have it in a leveled up state. So it's universal, which does make it more convenient. But then it comes to the roster, which again has some confusing ideas. And the fact that you can get alternate skins for the characters, but it doesn't change their loadouts like in RE5. Instead, it's just the same loadout, everything, but now their outfit's different. Thanks? Or the fact that Krauser's in this game, but he no longer has his infected abilities. He's just, I'm the big muscle guy with a bow. It does mean that he has more unique melee problems, but it's the fact that's like, really? Did you remove the thing that his main thing in RE4 Mercenaries mode? And then put it here? Why? Or the fact that with Wesker, you also can't use his fast run either. Once again, it's like, why are we just making the characters not as fun to play as in this Standalone Mercenaries mode game? The only new character added in is Claire, clearly being more inspired by what seems to be her Code Veronica appearance, which is a cool addition, but it's just like, that's like the only thing new character-wise. Everybody else was in RE4 or RE5. So it's like, I wish there was more new. Give me a standalone game. You need more new with it, and not just repurposing what you already had before, but just now to a lesser degree due to the fact you're now 3DS. You can't even break the doors anymore. RE5, you can break the doors in that village area, but those doors cannot be broken here. They will always be there. It's gonna open them every single time when I go through them and stuff like that. Like, just irks me. Addendum, I've now found out in order to switch loadouts between characters, you need to get A rank or higher on all the main missions in the game with that character in order to unlock the loadout for the characters. I want to mind you, that's like 30 effing stages in the game they want you to A rank with that character just so someone else can use their loadouts. No! The alternative is just using 10 Nintendo 3DS Play coins. Once again, that main method is still a no! It has now hit me. I was already bugged that some of Rebecca's animations are clearly ripped from Chevron, would be the door open animation, or the freaking somersault kick or the breakaway from enemies. But it now also hit me that Chevron, along with Leon, is also not in this game. How freaking dare you make a Mercenaries side game that involves stuff RE4, RE5, and also not have Chevron on top of Leon in it? Another change for taking the 3DS is also the fact of how you get out of grabs. While the main console games display the analog stick, but since here the analog thing is awkward 3DS, instead how you get out of the grab is doing a button sequence. I do not like these button sequences because they just take longer to do compared to just rotating the stick. It also means if an enemy with a one-shot coming towards you, they'll probably one-shot you while you're being grabbed, and just feels, I just don't like that. There is a skill you can get to try to avoid one-shots, will now give you a dodge prompt when the one-shot is near you. To which I go, why isn't the dodge prompt a default thing of the characters instead at that point? But I didn't develop the game. It's just a weird little thing that's a perk required in order to have a dodge. Otherwise, there's no real dodge prompt for the characters for any attack. And because of the fact on 3DS, it means not many enemies can spawn in. Granted, the enemies can gang up on you and can try and pin you to a corner, but they won't be as frantic as, let's say, on the console release for Resident Evil 4 and 5. On top of the fact that when the character, like playing as Rebecca, her grenade launcher just shreds through enemies quickly, and you want that for your combo bonus, so it makes it seem as if playing a character like Chris just isn't as good as his weapons, or a pistol, shotgun, and sniper rifle, the sniper probably being the worst weapon to use in this game because of how often the game will spawn enemies behind you, or how long it takes to use a sniper in this game. And speaking of shooting, you can move and shoot in this game, though it is very awkward. But what I do like is the fact that you can move and reload. That's a cool thing. I like that. But though it's weird how while reloading you can't pick up ammunition, and you can't quick turn for some reason while reloading. Very weird. But you can move while reloading, and I like that. Interesting tidbit of this game is the fact that once you complete it, you do get access to a pilot demo of Resident Evil Revelations, which has differences from the main game, Resident Evil Revelations, so it's actually a very cool bonus that they gave you a little taste of the next Resident Evil game they were making within this game as a bonus. The problem is, Activision's demo seems to be a crapshoot, because there's people who say, oh, it only works on physical copies, some say it didn't work for them, some say it worked for them right off the bat when they started the game, and so there's no actual consistency. All I know is, I did not get access to the demo. I didn't know about it when I was Googling information about Resident Evil Mercenaries in order to make this video. So, I didn't get access to this demo that's supposed to be part of this experience. So, screw me, I guess. Overall, Resident Evil Mercenaries by itself is a good time. It's still Resident Evil Mercenaries mode. It's still fun, and they try to do some new things. I just wish they went further with it. Further to making this its own separate experience, and how they can build upon the formula as a spin-off time and everything. But as it currently is, it's just a lesser version of Resident Evil 4 and 5, which is the problem. If you only have 3DS, then sure, Mercenaries will be a good time and good effort. You have good fun with it, especially being able to play wireless co-op with people. But if you already have access to Resident Evil 4 and 5, then by that point, you have a better version of those Mercenaries modes already. So the fact that you have more characters in those modes, especially Resident Evil 5 with the DLC, the only thing that's really considered this game is they went lean further into the bosses, have more bosses into the map as this big challenge thing. Try to do more with the wave system they had for a mission, stuff like that. Otherwise, you're just playing downgraded versions of the levels, where now there's no real cohesion what enemies pop up, and some of the bosses have just been removed from the game entirely, leaving you with just certain ones that just don't really feel as good to include. I also feel like the melee attacks just aren't as good as this game, because, I don't know, right? When you use something like a melee attack with enemies down, it generally finishes them off. Here, it's kind of random if it actually finishes them off, or if they're actually still alive despite taking a down melee attack. So there's weird aspects like that. I also had some instances where Rebecca's tear gas one will sometimes miss and point blank. So there is some wonkiness with some of the melee attacks in this version of the Mercenaries. But overall, it is a good game. It's just the fact that you have better options out there and it could have done more. That's all I gotta say about Resident Evil Mercenaries 3D. Alrighty then, good day.